Twitch. Loading. I edited the stream info.
Noise.
147. Can't believe it. And we're live! In the past. So what are we gonna do here? When was the last time you went to a theater?
Just last Saturday.
Wait, to see the new
Thor. Yeah.
Okay, what'd you think?
I would give it, using the BigTuck rating system,
Correct.
it's a 2.5 out of 5 with a recommend to watch at some point, but you don't have to go to theaters to watch it.
Huh. Okay. Interesting.
So yeah, I don't like your either recommend or not recommend, because
it's a I do it like, so now that I've had to change it for the writing I do. Now it's a like 3.5 plus. So it's more of like, because it's like recommended or not, right? You can still see a movie that's a 2 out of 5, but there's something about it where you're like, okay, this is worth more than just like a piece of shit, right?
But I think there's also a difference of recommend being like, you should go see it in theaters, or you should just see it whenever it comes
when
out.
you're available. Yeah, I agree with that.
So that would be my thing. I will tell you this, though. Christian Bale as Gore the God Butcher. Awesome.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best villains.
It's because it's Christian Bale. He's good in everything because he's a real actor.
And one of my favorite quotes of his, because they were asking him, like, oh, how intimidating was it to be next to Chris Hemsworth and like his like jacked muscles? Christian Bale, as someone that will morph his body to whatever the role will do, literally said, have you seen Chris Hemsworth? I decided nothing I did would be able to compete with that, so I didn't even try.
Right.
Like, Christian Bale didn't even try to like become buff or ripped or anything.
Right.
Like, it's Chris Hemsworth. What am I gonna do?
Well, did you hear, the story around Batman Begins, right?
Oh, well, like how he was shooting The Machinist before.
Yes.
Had to lose all that weight and then put on like 80 pounds of muscle in like 3 months or something.
Yes, and on top of that, he got too big. So he put on too much muscle and too much weight, and he couldn't fit into the Batman outfit. So people on set were calling him Fat Man, and Christopher Nolan had to take him aside and be like, "Hey, like, you need to cut some weight, man." So he like overcorrected, and like every time he's just like, "Okay," and then just goes and does it.
Yeah, that's so fun.
It's amazing.
Well, all right. Well, I think I got my notes ready. Are we ready to start recording?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm freaking stoked. I hope you're as excited as I am.
I got a lot of questions.
What questions?
Let's see. In 3, 2, 1.
Here we go.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 147 of CMD Towers, Brews and Builds. I'm Mr. Commodore 5, and my fellow host might end up in a buried ruin if this deck doesn't get a resounding yes. BigTuck.
Hey, how the hell are you? It's another Friday afternoon. I might be going to the theaters tonight, like we just talked about briefly. So I'm pretty excited about that. But I also got a little bijou in here. So yeah, it's a Friday. I don't really have much. I threw my back out playing rugby on Tuesday, so that was exciting.
Hey, middle age.
Yeah, you're back to it. So then I went and got physical therapy and a sports massage this week. So that's good. And then hashing was brutal on Wednesday. I was hungover all day yesterday. Bad news. Do you ever get this? Like, I know you don't sleep as well as I do. Like, I know you have had problems with your sleep and those sort of things before. But have you ever had it to where you're like there's nights like on Wednesday, I didn't do coke. I might have had a few cigarettes, but like I was up till 4 a.m. watching YouTube videos, mostly about Forrest Gump on a Wednesday after running and drinking for 4 hours straight. This is like,
oh my gosh,
this is prime. And it was a weeknight, right? Like, and I was eating wings. Like, how was that? I was on my couch till 4 a.m. Like, how does that happen?
I'm just telling you, man, like, that's why I like the Delta 8 gummies.
Yeah.
Because it'll literally calm my brain down. Because that's usually, if I didn't take those, Tuck, I'd probably be up till 2 a.m. every single
I know
night.
you used to say stuff like that where you're like, oh yeah, we've had, you used to say stuff where it was like, yeah, we've had, I've been up till 4 a.m, 3 nights in a row playing Ghost of Tsushima or whatever that's called. So
Yeah, it just happens. And I've even learned I have to stop myself, especially with a video game, and especially the
sure.
open world video games. I have to give myself like a time. Like I have
Right.
to stop playing about an hour and a half before I ideally want to go to bed. Like that's how much those get like my brain going.
Right.
So yeah, I get it, man. It sucks.
I don't know, and like I do take CBD, but I only take 30 milligrams. So I even took one of those. I don't think that was enough. So maybe I should have taken another one. But I do want to make an announcement for everyone watching us now or later. Drum roll, please. Wait, do we have a drum? Do we have a drum roll?
No, I haven't gotten around to actually loading sound effects into here yet. But I do have this.
There, we are now officially Twitch affiliates. We just went through and may or may not have made up some stuff on the text forms, but we're here and we did it. So support us. That's really exciting. All of our one followers, SD Sharpie, hanging out and modding. But enough about that, Mr. Combo. Did you get to play any Magic this weekend? Last weekend?
I did. I got to go over to good old Nance's house, one of our great patrons and friend of Marketing Ross, and I got to get a few games in. It was a pretty good time. Trying to remember, I got to win with my God deck.
Oh, nice.
Doing the World Tree Ultimate. Double Wooburg, get every god from your deck to the battlefield. So I was able to win the game with that.
Wow.
That was pretty exciting. And then I also won with... Oh, gosh. What was that? I killed myself really quick in a Xerus deck. Because I just wheeled everyone and I just died.
What do you mean you just died? Like everyone ganged up on you?
Yeah. I mean, pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it didn't help that in the one wheel turn, I created like 18 snakes. 20 snakes.
Yep, that'll do it.
So yeah, that was pretty much death to me. And man, this is really gonna bother me. I had won the first game of the night. It was a 3-pod, which was a little unfortunate. But it was me, Nance, and single Aaron, and they did watch me essentially kind of do solitaire and just win. So
with what deck?
I don't know. I'd have to go through my binder and see which one it was. I didn't take any notes from it because we don't do 40 life at a dash anymore. So it's just like,
yeah, but don't really, you know, like I don't know, don't you have aren't you like me and have a spreadsheet that dictates every single time you played a deck?
No, absolutely not.
I haven't gotten to play. I have not gotten to play any games outside of our streaming every other Monday right here at CMD Tower. Twitch.tv/CMD Tower. But my magic news is I got very lucky on that double masters box. I spent $260 and the card value that came out of it is already over 300, and that was just the chase cards, not the rares or anything. So here's my question for you. What do you think, okay, of the cards that I got, which do you think would be the most expensive? So
to be honest, I don't remember all the cards you got.
That's fine.
I remember seeing the post and I was like, they're pretty.
But... I did not get an Imperial Seal, but I got a Docs in the first 4 packs. In the first 2 packs, I got a Dockside, Cavern of Souls, the new City of Brass with the alternate art, and then another mythic or another like high chase rare. I got Valduncan Orrery, the new foil etched rigmarole. So what of those 4, what would you think would be the most expensive?
As of right now, I would probably say the Cavern of Souls.
Nailed it!
But I'll say long term, it'll be a tie between the Valduncan and the City of Brass.
You think so?
I would see those holding their value a lot longer. Well, because Dockside's been on the potential ban wagon for such a long time. I don't think that one's ever going to get out of control expensive. Cavern of Souls has had enough printing over the years. But I feel like City of Brass and Valduncan Orrery, I don't see a lot of printings of those. I think and the fact that they're brand new full arts, I think those will be the ones that probably hold the most value. Heck, that Valduncan Orrery, if it's not already, it could probably be $100 plus card.
It wasn't so or I might actually look it up right now because I know it's one of your favorites. But at the time when I got it, the alternate art etched foil wasn't yet listed for like how much it would be. So that's $25 right there. Nailed it. I hate that card. Already put it into my deck.
Well, guys, if you enjoy everything here, you should always be tuning in when we record live and following us up on our audio side. But you are here for Brews and Builds as our deck tech series. Since we conquered the path to 32, the 12 themes of EDH decks, we have moved on to a segment called Say Yes to the Deck, as we've done all month. This will comprise of one of our hosts, today, BigTuck, building a deck online specifically geared towards the playstyle for the other, aka me, Mr. Combo, but still challenging kind of how they play EDH, but they want it to be kind of geared a little bit towards them. At the end, we're going to see if they'll say yes to the deck, but of course, the heart of Brews and Builds is still here.
Nailed it.
We broke down the deck similar to how we brew beer. The first categories could be rampant setting your board states. We call that grains.
And grains are the foundations of every beer. They include both base malts and specialty malts using a 60-40 ratio. This helps with the color, the taste, and most importantly, the alcohol content of that beer. Decks need ways to grow, stabilize, and ramp into bigger threats. And just like a grain profile, they are usually a mix of staples and specialty cards.
How does your board interact with all of your opponents? We call that hops.
And hops give the beer its patented bitterness and herbal floral flavors. They grow in a variety of strands and help distinguish subcategories like IPAs. Our hop choices help clear and interact with the board so your deck can ultimately do what it wants.
How does the deck actually close out or win the game? We call that yeast.
And yeast are living microorganisms that eat the sugar from the grain and poop out alcohol and CO2. It adds alcohol content and the carbonation. Without yeast, you'd be drinking flat sugar water. Without yeast cards, your deck wouldn't meet the goal of actually winning the game.
Then we do have shenanigans. This can be pet card synergies. My favorite card is actually in the deck, but not in Spice. We just like to have fun. And yes, I already spoiled it. We call that Spice.
And not every beer, or in this case, seltzer waters, have them. But spices and other additives help separate a normal stock drink from a specialty one. It could be the pepper that turns the stout into jalapeno stout. Scooty Shuffles, new member of the Discord, correctly identified that I should take that out because I do not like jalapeno stouts or jalapeno any beer. So we'll be changing that in the future. Or the addition of agave and watermelon that turns this Carbotch ranch water hard seltzer from from a La Croix into a Carbotch. Not every deck has something that makes it pop, but if it does, this is where we talk about it.
And then to seal off the episode, we do have a bottle capping. And this is going to be the deck's recipients, me, cutting 3 cards from the deck and recommending that we add 3 cards that would be under $5, under $50, and a no budget restriction. We just can't talk about mana-only lands. So without further ado, let's get brewing. Today, BigTuck built a Say Yes to the deck. You want artifacts? You got artifacts! With Jan Jenson, Chaos Crafter. So I'm going to read off the card, because BigTuck, you're going to read through your description on this bad boy. Jan Jenson, Chaos Crafter is going to cost Mardu to cast everyone. That's going to be red, white, and black. It's a legendary creature, Gnome Artificer. It's a rare from Baldur's Gate. Or Commander Legends. Yeah, Commander Legends Baldur's Gate. Right?
Battle for Baldur's Gate, I think it's what it's
Battle
called.
for
Yes,
Baldur's Gate. It's a 3/3. It has haste, and it has 2 activated abilities. First one, sacrifice an artifact creature, create 2 treasure tokens. The second one is tap, sacrifice a non-creature artifact, create 2 1/1 colorless construct artifact creature tokens. The card costs about 35 cents to buy.
So, for those who don't know, Jan Jenson is one of my favorite non-playable characters from Baldur's Gate 2, which worked out very well. And that he was an illusionist thief that also was a tinkerer. He created a crossbow that could shoot skulls that would give people, it would like turn people stunned and unconscious. And he's just kind of a great utility player. He had a bunch of quotes. I couldn't find them because it's so old, but this is what the notes I sent over to Mr. Combo. So, after my last attempt at artifacts with Thrap Capishan, Ship's Mage of the Helm, was universally known, I did some real soul searching and deep thought. Mr. Combo still doesn't have an all-out artifact deck, and we know his Kalia deck is starting to grow boring for him as well. So, what is there to do? I don't know. Maybe build a Mardu deck where literally every single card in the deck either has the word artifact on it or creates artifacts, mostly triggers. Every single card in here is an artifact or creates artifacts. I intentionally made that difficult for myself, so that's why we're here. Last deck was an artifact enough for you? Well, here we go. Jan Jensen's a crafty little gnome who runs a hasty value train of bouncing back and forth between rampant creatures, also kind of like a planeswalker we've talked about in the past. Are there ways to abuse this? You betcha. So I wanted you to try to find some of the loops on your own. I didn't want to spoon feed it for you, as you are Mr. Combo number 5, but some of the main themes are turning creatures into artifact creatures, having a surplus of targets that can either be sacked or reanimated for value, and then building out an army of tokens that can burn, mill, or otherwise outvalue the opposition. And there are several sweaty, multi-card infinite combos. Some of the favorite cards Mr. Combo has in the game. I shoved them all in here. And I just felt like this is going to be the one. I think this is going to be the one that is going to be just sweaty enough, but still in Mr. Combo's wheelhouse to really make it to his rotation.
It's not there as of right now. I'm hoping this episode tells me, because I'm going to be honest though, Tuck. I think where you're missing the mark with me is you keep trying to go way too cute and try to you make it so convoluted that even when I'm sitting here like studying the deck, it's like I kind of see a synergy or maybe a combo with this card, but I'm not seeing your 3, 4, 5, 6 card combos. So I think in the future you do need to outline those like I do for you, because
Okay.
they're way too sweaty and I don't know what they are. So as of right now, I'm not hot on the deck. I think the other thing, just friend to friend, you know that I'm into like the weird stuff now, but I think you're going way too overboard where everything has to say artifact on the card or art some way of artifact. It's not making it into where it's enjoyable to build. It's really just I consider like it might be fun to talk about, but I will never build it because it's just you're building way too fringe. So that's some feedback I'd give you on the surface. Now, on the digging into it, I do like some of the synergies in the
Sure.
deck. I think some of it's kind of interesting. And I'll be honest, like I don't think of Mardu artifact, so that is also interesting as well. I like that this commander has like combo potential on its face. Like there's
Oh,
a
for
lot
sure.
of things that you could do to definitely get it. Maybe you're not going infinite, but you can do like a 3, 4, 5 activation combo in a row. I don't know if we just want to call that high synergy.
Right.
So I do really like that. Um, but yeah, I would say right now, I just see this as like a just generic artifact value deck, and that's just generic value is the least interesting thing in all of Magic.
We'll get there. We'll
All
get there.
right,
Don't worry about it. I'll happily walk you through all the combos that are in this deck, most of which are in
good.
the East. It's great.
Now from a color perspective, you did pretty good on the mana. The interesting thing, though, is
How many basics are in it?
there are a lot of basics. That's
Would
fine.
you like to know why?
Why?
Because even the lands outside of basics have to be artifacts themselves or reference artifacts in the text. I went all
You see
in.
what I mean? Like that's just way too cute. That's
But
not even
it's
fun.
genius. It's
No,
perfect.
it's not, because you wouldn't even build this for yourself.
I
If
actually
I
been
had... No, you are not. You're a liar.
I
If
actually
you think
was
you would build a deck that everything says artifact or references an artifact. That's a lie. You would not build that.
listen, I already have a Mardu deck. I already have artifact decks as well. But I don't know. I had fun going through this, and it took me a while to even find.
Did.
It took me a while to even find the kind of cards that we're going to be able to that we're even going to be referencing here. And people have been asking for the deck list in Twitch, which I just sent out.
Oh, there we go. So the one thing I do like though is that you kept the CMC super low. It's a 288. So there's not going to be a lot of turns where I'm not doing
Yeah,
anything. And that's one of the things I hate about Magic is just
absolutely.
sitting around piddling. So I do like that. You got 50 artifacts in the deck, so you did do your thing. So I think that's and then from a deck cost perspective, what's this guy cost to go buy there, BigTuck?
About 280, so 288 ish, not too
That's
bad.
not terrible.
That's without. This is just like the cheapest ones you can find. Now, let me ask you this: would you have been a bigger fan of it if I made this specifically 2-drop tribal? Because that was gonna be my next idea. I'm just everything's a 2-drop.
I'm not interested in these things. That's not like fun.
I don't know. I'm surprised.
Build that for yourself.
You always talk about how you like to build these weird, like outside of the box sort of deck ideologies.
But you see what my outside the box like ideologies are. It's God tribal. It's all permanents with Grudaclad. Like there's actually, it's like sweaty. No, it's slimy. I'm at building slimy.
This is absolutely slimy. It's got all the stuff in here that you like.
No.
If there's one card, if I put Dockside Extortionist in here, you would have been so excited. But I intentionally left it out.
No, I wouldn't have, because that still doesn't solve the deck. But we're digressing. We need to get over to the grade section, and I'm going to start this since this deck was built for me. First card to talk about, and obviously this is, I think, one of your value engines in the deck to really unlock some of the combo potential for later in the game. But I do like how this 2-drop artifact can also just add colorless mana on top of that.
Wait, hold on.
So it sounds like we're matching.
Wait, maybe.
BigTuck scrambling around.
Colorless. Wait, so artifact and adds colorless?
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Oh my god, that is so good. Colorless. I thought we were on board, but then you said colorless and it threw me off.
Well, I'm going to go with it. 3, 2, 1, Liquimetal Torque.
Oh, yeah, this is incredible.
2 colorless artifact that has punishment because it taps for colorless. How are you confused? Go ahead and read the card.
All right, so 2 colorless. This is not one of mine, but
I thought you said it was.
No, it's not.
Oh, okay. Well, I already said that. So it taps for our colorless, and then you can tap it, target non-land permanent, becomes an artifact in addition to its other types until end of turn.
Which is critical in this deck.
So I do really like that, but I also like how the fact that Liquimetal Torque. So I'm going to say this up front. This is a yeast card, not a green card. It's a modal card.
Right.
But 1000%, it's in the deck for the second ability. But if we're going to try to frame this around why is it in the grains, it adds a colorless, which 50% of our deck is colorless, so that's perfect. The second thing is that it does convert the non-artifact cards in the deck to being artifacts. Now that gives Jan Jenson additional things to sacrifice.
Correct.
And produce, whether we're turning a non-creature, non-artifact into an artifact non-creature. Hey, that's getting us a couple constructs. Or maybe we're turning something into a creature artifact, and that's getting us a couple treasures. It's going to do a lot of fuel for the early game.
Right. And don't forget that there's also another target that you can turn into an artifact as well, which we'll get into later. But just keep that in the back of your mind. Keep that in the back of your mind.
All right.
Keep that back there.
Well, what is your first grade?
So, of course, I went with the slimy, sweaty, and greasy picks, as I'm known to do. Hashtag SSGs, or I guess it'd be GSS in that case. So I went with the first one, which is slimy, because I feel like this other gnome could be good in this deck, and I think it's really strong. But I don't know. I have not been able to cast this card. I have playtested this card maybe 10 or 15. I've playtested this deck maybe 10 or 15 times. I've never even come close to seeing him. I've never seen him played in any other decks. I've never heard any. I know people claim he's good, but I think he's really, really strong to start getting this stuff out of your deck.
Yeah, no, and I think you and I are aligned here because I think this card is really cool. 3, 2, 1. Oswald
the Fiddlebender. The Fiddlest of the Bends. Oswald Fiddlebender is a colorless and a white for a legendary creature, Gnome Artificer that's a 2/2 for rare and 80 cents.
Magical Tinkering. So stupid. Just say it's a white and tap.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Library for an artifact card with mana value to 1 plus the sacrifice artifact's mana value. Put it onto the battlefield and shuffle. Activate only as a sorcery.
Yeah, so I think there's a build. I didn't quite lean into this as much, but there are a lot of artifacts that when they get sacrificed, something happens. That's where the 2-drop tribal comes in. We might be talking about some of them later, but just the fact that you can bin any sort of artifact. There's a handful of 1-drops. There's not that many. There might actually only be one now that I think about it. There's a few. But even being able to bin a construct or a treasure token that you generate to go and tutor out something that might put you ahead in mana value or that sort of thing. I like that. I think that this deck can be very responsive. If someone targets an artifact that you really care about, you can always either bin it to Oswald, which I guess would only be on your turn, but you could also do it to on Jansen. The problem was I really wanted to put like Gamble, Demonic Tutor, and these sort of things in there. But guess what? Those things don't reference artifacts, so can't make the cut. They just can't make the cut.
So I like this card a lot because essentially it's Artifact Birthing Pod.
Yes, right.
Literally identical. And the thing that I also like about it is I suck at Birthing Pod, and I need to get better at it because it's just so much of like remembering what's in your deck, knowing the deck list, knowing what's left at that point in the game, knowing the right thing to sacrifice so you don't fail to find. And I do like those kind of complex lines, so I'm a big fan of it. And I do just see the immense value that Oswald can bring, almost kind of like a pseudo backup commander. You know, if Jan Jenson kind of gets rid of too much, they don't do the same thing, but it still is sacrificing artifacts to try to get increased value. So I'm here for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I really want to see him play, especially for less than $1. So hopefully someone out there can yell at us and say that they've won the game with him or something along those lines.
Well, so the last green card I wanted to talk about is this really cool 5-drop artifact that is going to create copies of our non-token artifacts. And I think that's just important because Jan Jenson never specifies non-token. It just specifies non-creature. So I think Mirrorworks is a very cool card for this deck. So 5 colorless artifact. It's a rare. Whenever another non-token artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 2 colorless. If you do, put a token that's a copy of that artifact onto the battlefield. So yeah, there's nothing broken you could do with your non-token stuff, but we talked about it earlier.
Yep.
We have 50 non-token artifacts in here. And the cool thing that I don't think people think of, Mirrorworks works with the artifact lands. You play a land, pay 2,
nice.
Make another. Like, that is some insane value. That's essentially far-seeking.
Right. I never even thought about that. That's incredible. I did get this card came in because I was very inspired by Bosch and Roll's Bosch deck, his titular one, because he pretty much went infinite with Mirrorworks. And I almost went that way and putting in like doubling cube and things like that. But that was the 17th thing I was trying to do in the deck. So I was like, okay, maybe we can move on from that. Maybe we could try something different. But yeah, I think for $1.17, the ceiling on this card is like well out of the stratosphere. And I love that artifact land. I got every single land that is an artifact in the deck, so hopefully you'll be able to go get some value out of it.
Did you also, because I mean, you and I usually don't spend much time in the land section. Did you also put the 2-color artifact lands in there, the new one?
I did, yes, I did.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
cool.
the tap artifact lands, I got all those, and the 4 other ones, the 3 monocolor and the dark seal, and that might be Power Depot is another one that's kind of cool. So anyways, there's plenty of options in there for that.
Good. Yep, I think you have all the ones that I can think of. Well, Tuck, I think you got 2 more. Why don't you run us through your grains?
Okay, so the next one is this would have been I try to put as many of these in here, entering the battlefield and leaving the battlefield. I think those kind of cards are really strong. And this is a fresh one out of Baldur's Gate, Battle for Baldur's Gate, that does give you a little bit of ramp in a weird way. And that one is Prize Statue. So 2 colorless for an artifact. When it enters the battlefield or is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, create a treasure token. I'm not as hot on this card as I am on some of the other ones that will let you tutor a basic or draw a card or something along those lines, or maybe create a creature. But here, just the fact that you can do this on turn 2, maybe turn 1, and be able to ramp into Jan and then sacrifice this one, get your creatures, and then get another treasure token, and then you're back off to the races. For me, for 7 cents at a 2-drop, it definitely has that value. Helps out your mana fixing as well for that 1 turn it's out.
Yeah, I kind of thought the same thing. And honestly, Tuck, when I started looking at it, I started thinking more in my head, well, Tuck's Urza deck kind of leverage some of these, what I would call bland artifacts that don't really do a lot. or maybe they just do something on the ETB, but then they're done for the game, but Urza still taps it. I kind of looked at Price Statue like that. Like, okay, 2 mana, I'm going to gain a treasure token. And then when I sack it to Jansen, I'm going to gain another treasure token. So really, I'm getting my mana back.
Right.
What this card's really doing is it's netting me future mana for an explosive turn and or 2 constructs, which I think all of those are appropriate for 2 mana. I think if it was more than 2 mana, like 4, I think that's where it's like a little too sweaty.
Yes.
But the fact that you essentially get your mana back in this deck, yeah, it's a great card.
Yeah, that one I'm really excited about. That was my kind of sweaty pick, because if you can't sacrifice it, I think you would be better off just having a normal mana rock, right?
Sure.
So that's where it came. But then my greasy boy is one of the other amazing tutors in here, because it has such synergy with Jan, and that card is Wishclaw Talisman, which it's from the Redacted set. And I think a lot of people forget that this is an artifact, myself included, which is where this came up. Yep. Also would have fit in 2-drop tribal, just for those playing the home game. Colorless and a black for an artifact. When it enters the battlefield with 3 wish counters on it. 1, tap, remove a wish counter from Wishclaw Talisman, search your library for a card, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. An opponent gains control of Wishclaw Talisman. Activate this ability only during your turn. Now, with Jan out, we get to eliminate the entire downside of this card. So this, with Jan out, while the ability's on the stack, you can sacrifice it, make 2 construct tokens, go and tutor, and then no one else gets anything else. Great target for bringing it back. It's incredible. And I looked it up. I wanted to make sure. I looked it up on 3 different websites. That is how it works, people. Yes. Okay, you did as well?
Yep, I did.
Yes, exactly. That is how it works. So this is your 3 mana. It's like a Grim Tutor, but I guess it's just a Grim Tutor, right? Does that just, it's 3 to your hand?
Yeah, it's just a Grim Tutor, but I think the better way to look at this, Tuck, is Wishclaw Talisman is not I mean, I guess you could run it, guys, where you cast Wishclaw and then you activate it immediately. Like, I guess that's a play.
Yeah.
At that point, it's like, I guess you would rather just have Demonic Tutor or Vampiric Tutor or Imperial Seal or any of the other tutors.
Right.
So I more look at Wishclaw Talisman, and especially in this deck, turn 2, play it, and it sits there. And when we're ready to tutor, we can then do it. So it's not so much 3 mana to go tutor. It's more of a, I'm doing like foretell. I'm investing 2 into it now.
Yes, for sure.
So then maybe in 3 or 4 turns, I could pay 1 and go get what I need.
Definitely. So I decided I like this card a lot because it's a very political card, and also the fact that it feeds into the strategy, slam dunk, and and most importantly, it's an artifact.
Absolutely. Well, guys, that's going to wrap up the grain section. Before we head over to our next area, we want to plug a little bit about our great Etsy store. So if you go over to Etsy.com, just type in CMD Tower in the search bar and you'll find our amazing store. We will have some new product art being uploaded probably within the week of you guys hearing this, because actually when you guys are listening to this from a recording perspective, not as we're recording live,
oh God,
we'll actually
be
doing our KC Magic Fest. And Matt's going to do a lot of action shots, people using gear and stuff, so we can make it very fun. But that's where we have all of our gear: foil, playmats, card sleeves, the reminder tokens, the coins, all of it. Please go on there. Definitely everything you guys purchase out of there is going to give us money back. So A, we can pay off what we paid for the gear, but also so we can invest in Magic 30 coming up in Vegas. So Tuck and I can do some fun giveaways, do some fun collaborations with other content creators, create more content for you. Just all good things for you guys. Just remember Etsy.com, type CMD Tower.
And I think I told you this. I am officially in. I booked my flights to Vegas. We're going, baby.
Yeah. Oh God. All right. Oh God, it's still going. And now we're gonna head over to the hop section. BigTuck, keep talking. What's your first hop card?
Okay, so I was really trying to find as many utility cards as I could in the hop section that also deal with artifacts. As you can tell, I got exactly 12 of them. So we're just trying to work out. So if we didn't have the stipulation, I would assume this is a card that could be cut immediately. But this 7-drop board wipe does play into a lot of the themes we got going here.
Oh yeah, it does.
Are we ready?
Yeah. 3, 2, 1.
Blood Money! Woo! All right, I got this one.
Absolutely great.
5 colorless and double black for a sorcery that's a mythic, which I think is kind of strange. This reads like a rare to me, right?
No, it reads just like Garuk's Wake in Garuk's Wake. But I'm
Oh,
pretty sure
sure.
that's a mythic for 9.
Yeah.
So it's a sorcery. Destroy all creatures. For each non-token creature destroyed this way, you create a tapped treasure token.
Amazing. Like, again, we are playing into the treasure tokens, which we'll see in the East. We're playing into artifacts. The only thing I really want to ask before you go into yours is, how do you feel like this was a course correction for the tapped treasure tokens? That has to be, right? Or else you just win on the spot?
No, you don't win on the spot. See, that's where I would disagree. I think so. I think the reason that this card is very limited in being able to be played is because it creates tapped treasure tokens.
Right.
Now, I do agree that I think tapped treasure tokens, if they're going to print as many cards that create treasures as we do, all treasure tokens should probably come in tapped.
Yeah, right.
I do think that is a course correction, but for this card, Tuck, I'll be honest, you don't win on the spot either way.
Right,
It
right.
says non-token creature. So it's not
Sure.
like, hey, I'm going to make infinite constructs, do this.
Do this, and then now I have infinite
treasure,
mana, yeah.
Now I, do an expel for 1 billion. Like, it's non-token. So at most, think about it. Even in a heavy board state with a ton of creatures out, non-token, you're maybe getting, 8 treasures?
Right.
12? You don't win the game on the spot off that, because you don't win off the spot with a Smothering Type Wheel. And that creates 21 treasures.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's so. Do you think you would run this? What deck would you need to play to run this in?
I think you're not playing it based on your deck. I think you're playing it based on your play.
Oh, sure.
No, because think about it. If you're playing this in your deck because you have a lot of non-token creatures, that's one player. You should probably be playing it based on the other 3 players
right.
that are at the pod, because combined, those 3 players will have more non-tokens than you.
Yeah, definitely. And so I think this also might be something good, and like this would probably be a good replacement in like Treasure Matters decks, like Prospers and that sort of thing, right?
You know where this is money?
Blood money.
Your Marchesa deck, the Black Rose.
Oh yes.
Because you steal them all, you get the +1 counters. You then board wipe, you get them all back. But
Oh
now you have all
God.
these treasures.
Wow, that is really that's awesome.
See, there are decks that you want it, but it's just you have to make sure that you really like Marchesa. I think the value's there because you steal so many of people's creatures.
Exactly.
And your whole gimmick is doing the counters and sacking them and keeping them. So that's where I think Blood Money makes perfect sense. But if I was just like, oh yeah, I'm going to put it in my Kalia deck, I would hope people would give me side eye, be like, why?
Yeah, but why? Yeah, exactly, for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, we both matched on the Blood Money. So now we're going to go to my next one. And this is just, it's a good card. It's cost Orzhov. It's an instant. It deals with a lot of problem permanents. Fracture.
Yeah,
really
strong.
good.
It's very strong.
Single white, single black, instant, uncommon. Destroy target artifact, enchantment, or planeswalker. Not a lot to say. It literally hits most of the troublesome things that are hard to get rid of.
Yeah.
So I think the only way that this would be better is if it also added land to it, but then I think it's way too strong.
Yeah, and like the only thing I don't like about this card is it's not a creature, but I think we have enough other removals and enough ways to block that creatures aren't going to be the real problem.
No,
it's going to be the enchantments like the propagandas or active authorities or those sort of things. So for 58 cents, yeah, I think it's pretty strong. And also it says artifact on it, so there you go.
Question for you. If this card costs Mardu, would you be okay if they also added or land?
Yeah, or land or creature, another one. I think that would also be pretty strong.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
All right, Tuck, give us your second pop.
Okay, so this is another. So that was my slimy pick. This is my greasy pick. And I've seen this played a lot. And it's effectively, in most decks that run it, a path to exile or Swords to Plowshares with no downside. And that's why I wanted to. That's mostly why I wanted to bring it up. Is this one of yours or no?
No.
Okay, cool. So I think Dispatch is really interesting. So it's 1 white for an instant. Tap target creature, Metalcraft. If you control 3 or more artifacts, exile that creature. That's it, right?
Yep.
Just exiled, no lands, no life, no anything, right? So I've always wondered, and I in rereading this card, because this is a card that I've seen for a long time. It gets put in precons a lot and that sort of thing. And I started to think through, Is this always, granted, this has artifact printed on it, which is why it's in here. But like, is this always just the third removal spell if you're running artifact sets? You still run the other two because the downside on them are relatively limited comparatively, right?
Both of the downsides on swords and path are so minimal because I don't think I've ever seen one of those. I don't think I've ever casted that on one of my opponents, and they're like, "Oh, thank you, I needed that."
Yeah, exactly. Right. You put it on their commander before even if it's like a Voltron commander, you put it on there before it gets buffed up, so they only gain 4 life or whatever the case may be. Right. Yeah.
Yep.
So, but again, like in these stipulations, I think this is still a very solid card in any of these decks. But I would okay. If you're running a dedicated artifact deck, which one? And you only had 2 slots, and this was one of them, would you do path or swords for the other one?
I'd probably do path
Because the life game can get out of control.
it's a tap. No, it's because it's a tap basic, and potentially I might be using it to remove a blocker to kill them, and them gaining the life could put them a point or two damage out of the way. And them getting a tapped basic literally doesn't help them at all.
Yeah, 100%. So I think Path Exile is probably the better one.
All right. Well, my final one is a golem that introduces ward for our artifacts. This guy is awesome. We are talking the Bronze Guardian.
So good. It's so good.
4 colorless white artifact creature golem. It's a rare, and it's star 5 toughness. It has double strike. It has ward 2. So whenever this creature becomes the target of spell or ability an opponent controls, counter it unless that player pays 2. Other artifacts you also control have ward 2. And Bronze Guardian's power is equal to the number of artifacts you control. The one thing I found a little interesting that you did not put in here, and I don't know why, you kind of forgot Lightning Greaves and Swift Boots in here. And I feel like Lightning Greaves is like something you slam on Bronze Guardian, and it's like, okay, it has Shroud, everything has Ward 2, deal with it.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I just didn't put those in. I didn't put those in there because Jan, the commander, has haste already. So
Fair.
that's the main reason why I didn't put them in there. And they both work for 2-drop tribal. So in another day, another life, we could have had that happen. But yeah, I think Bronze Guardian's really solid. Is it worth putting in? So I'm not running that many giant big creatures, right? It's a little different than the Urza build that you gave me, but there are a few. Is it worth putting in something where it's like target artifact creature is unblockable, or pumping up your artifact creatures, those sort of builds? Do you think it's worth it with these like big swingers like him, and then the constructs that you make as well?
I can't answer that. I mean, I would almost say a better route would be to throw Rogue's Passage in the deck.
Oh yeah. Well, it's on artifact land, so.
Well, go to hell with that. But yeah, no, I think Rogue's Passage makes more sense because it produces colorless, which is 50% of the deck anyways. And then it's like, if you get in a weird situation where it's like, well, I kind of just need to get through with one big 18-18 or 18-5 double strike, I can give it unblockable and be able to kill someone. But I don't think you run specific cards to give artifact creatures unblockable or anything like that. I think that's a little too much.
It's a little too cute. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. All right, Tuck, give us your last top.
All right. So this is a card that can come and bite you right in the ass. This is why this is my sweaty pick. But it is one of the few instances that we have that also mention artifact on it. So, and that card is Rakdo's Charm. So black and a red for an instant. Choose one. Exile all cards from target player's graveyard. Destroy target artifact, or each creature deals 1 damage to its controller. So I kind of put this in here as like a utility card, right? You can blow up a troublesome artifact if someone's playing the Reanimator. We've talked a lot recently about how the graveyard is becoming more and more important for people's decks, whether they're playing artifacts, whether they're playing Golgari, any of that sort of thing. Yep. And then I think this is another deck that is going to get blown out by token strategies, right? it's going to take a few turns of searching. It's going to take a few turns of kind of building up your board. And someone's playing elves or someone's playing some other super fast token build, this might be able to knock them out after everyone else gets ganged up on them. I like the Rakdos Charm a lot. I've run it in pretty much all my Rakdos decks. But here, like I said, it just says destroy target artifact, which is why it made it in the cuts. You don't love it?
I didn't cut it. Because I do. I mean, it's just the charms have so much power and being instant speed and being low CMC that I see the value of it. I guess I don't know. I'm a little iffy on it. But you know what I just thought would be really funny to do? Rakdos Charm on the stack. I'm sure there's a way to do it. I'm sure there's some instant speed. All creatures target player controls gain infect until end of turn. How funny would it be to give someone infect and then do that, and then all their creatures kill them with infect? I think that'd be very cute.
Okay, that would be awesome. That would be sick to see.
So I like that. But no, it's fine. I think it's Rakdos Charm is just one of these unsexy cards that it when it works amazing. It is a blowout. Yeah. But it's either you got a blowout or it's just middling at best. And so that's where I'd be interested. Because actually, I don't think I run Rakdos Charm in any deck outside of probably my Rakdos deck.
Oh, yeah. I've run a lot of. I have like 4 or 5 Rakdos decks and have a pile ready to do another one. So
yeah, because you have a problem.
I know. I like the pain.
Well, guys, that's going to wrap up the hot profile. Before we head over to the next section, we do want to plug our amazing patron community. Patreon.com/CMD Tower. You guys can probably see it on the scrolling bar at the bottom of the video. $1, $5, $15, $25. We have many different tiers that you could join. Literally everything you guys put into that, like it's the new soundboard that now we're using for all of our channels. It's helping to hire artists to develop these overlays, new artworks for you guys on Twitch and YouTube. It all really does go back to the channel and not out of my bank account. So anything you guys could do would really be appreciative. Just patreon.com/CMD Tower. Now we're going to head over to see how this deck is going to close out and win games with peace. And I'm going to kick this off with the only one that I saw where it was like, okay, I kind of see the line. Kind of. It's a great alternate win con that I think is one of your combos in the deck, potentially. We're talking Halo Fountain.
Yeah, we are. Let's go, baby. I thought you were gonna go with something else. I was gonna. So let's keep going with this, and then I want to tell you. I want to tell you the real line through here. But yes, this was my sweaty pick.
So 2 colorless white. It's an artifact. It's a mythic. And it has 3 activated abilities. White tap, untap a tapped creature you control. Create a 1/1 green and white citizen creature token. White tap, untap 2 tapped creatures you control. Draw a card. White tap, untap 15 tapped creatures you control. You win the game.
It's incredible. It's another alternate win con. It lets you untap Jan to be able to do your rigmaroles over and over and over again on the same turn, draws cards, and wins the game. This is like, it's going to take a lot of work to get there, but I wanted to get as much of these win cards in here as I possibly could. And you'll see why in just a second. What do you think about Hallowed Fountain?
So I think Halo Fountain is very cool. Hallowed Fountain is a beautiful shock land.
Yeah, in Zorius.
And so I'll put it this way. I mean, I see the synergy with another artifact card in the Yeast section. And if you're able to make everything, and I will say you're missing a glaring combo piece for this deck to really make it work.
I cut it. I cut both of them.
It's stupid. It's so dumb. It literally is what you're trying to do. You make no sense. But the thing I like about this card is that there is a weird, slow rigmarole that you can do with the other artifact, tapping 2 things to untap a thing, and you can kind of do this loop to eventually you have 15 tapped creatures.
Right.
And then you can do the Halo Fountain and win the game. So I see that. It's just, I didn't see a lot of ways to tap creatures for mana. Didn't see a lot of ways to produce any color, and so I'm a little worried that the white is going to be
maybe
nigh
too
near
hard.
impossible to get to.
Well, so before I go into mine, in similar scope on your say yes to the deck last time, and how you kind of gave one card that it's kind of all based around, I have that same card that I'd like to start mine with, and
Okay.
substitute for the Halo Fountain pick, and that one is Clock of Omens. So
Yes, it is.
this is the card to go with, and follow me here. So 4 colorless for an artifact for a uncommon for $126. Tap 2 untapped artifacts you control. Untap target artifact. Right.
Okay.
So we made mention about turning other things into artifact creatures. Right. Liquid Metal Torque. Maybe some other options. So if you have Clock of Omens, one of those other turn another thing into an artifact thing, your commander, and any other artifact, you have now created an infinite loop.
How?
Because you turn Jan into an artifact creature. You sack the other artifact. Use those two, so you sack the other artifact, get 2 treasures, right?
Okay.
You tap those 2 treasures. You untap Jan. Then you tap, sacrifice one of the treasures, create 2 constructs. Then you tap those 2 constructs, untap Jan. Then you tap him, sacrifice one of the constructs, create 2 treasure tokens. Then untap, tap those 2, and then you keep going right there. And now you have unlimited ATB effects from token artifacts.
Okay.
As well as potential other ways of milling people out or killing them on the spot with sacrificing those ones out.
Okay. Fair.
It's a 4-card infinite combo. Then you have an unlimited array of artifact constructs. Effectively, you always net 1 treasure, so you're always going to have a spare treasure that you can then tap and sacrifice.
Well, really, it's just a 3-card combo because it's Clock of Omens, something to turn Jan into an artifact. Jan,
and then I guess you can just sacrifice that thing.
Well, it's just then insert whatever card you want in there for that 4th card. Okay, I mean that's a combo. It does go infinite, and so so I can see your Halo Fountain. I can see one of the cards that I am cutting from the deck. Okay, like that's cute. It's cute.
See, it all hinges on that boy right there.
Well, hopefully it doesn't get exiled, or I'm.
Well, yeah. Then you have to do it the old-fashioned way, which no one likes. But yeah,
nobody likes that.
Oh wait, so so that's a loop there.
That's great. That's your loop. Okay.
So we already talked about Halo Fountain as one out, and this one is a little sweatier, but I think this one, with the value that you're going to be getting over time, is still going to be enough to knock someone out. And it's it's an uncommon for 2 that is going to build up over time. And I think people are going to be a little surprised by this one. And that card is Dragon Spark Reactor. So a colorless and a red for an artifact. When it or another artifact enters the battlefield under your control, put a charge counter on it. For sack it, it deals damage equal to the number of charge counters on it to target player, and that much damage to up to 1 target creature. So for me, even if you're just playing the fair version of this, where you're just creating tokens and creating constructs and sacrificing them and going through your loop-de-loops that you have there, this is going to be something that's going to grow quickly and fast, right? So I think your opponents are really going to have a decision on their board to be like, do we get rid of this now, even though knowing it's only going to target 1 person and maybe 1 other commander, or do you just want to sit here and let it get bigger? So even if you can go infinite, then this will knock out 1 person, obviously. But even then, with the amount of artifacts that we're doing and the synergies we have of creating tokens, this is going to be something that's going to be, I think, a little sleeper on knocking someone out.
So I'm not going to go into everything. I'll just kind of talk about it on its surface, and I'll talk about it later.
Sure.
It's super cute. I think it's way too slow. I do like how it does give you something to play early in the game. Like, I think if this card cost 5 and did literally everything the same, it wouldn't be as
it'd be terrible.
But the fact that you can get it out early and just get that incremental value, that is really attractive. It'll be interesting to see like how that card operates though when it's late game.
Hmm.
That's the thing that I get worried about, and we'll talk about it more. But just like if I get this turn 7, what's it
What's it
actually gonna
do? Yeah.
do? But I do like that it's an uncommon. It could sleep, and it's probably a card that doesn't cost a lot of money, like
Nine
financially.
9 cents. And it also is
Yeah,
part of it also is a part of 2-drop tribal too, FYI.
you can lick the bottom of my foot. So all right, well, we talked about Halo Fountain for me. The next one I want to talk about is a card, and I really like this because a lot of times when they print these, whenever one or more's ETB, it's like you get the effect once.
Yeah.
I like that it's taken into effect everything that entered the battlefield, and you get the collective. So Ingenious Artillerist is, for me, a amazing card in
It's
this deck
so good.
because I like that it does what Dragon Spark is trying to do, but even when it's late game, you're still getting
Yeah.
that immediate value out of it. So, 2 colorless red, creature, human, artificer, common, which is insane.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 3/1 though, so it dies
Insane.
to a sneeze. Whenever one or more artifacts enter the battlefield under your control, Ingenious Artillerist deals that much damage to each opponent. Shit, I might want to put Grafted Exoskeleton in here, throw that on him. I'll infect all of y'all out.
It's insanely good. Impact tremors for artifacts. Like I miss this in draft, but I still have to buy them. But like honestly, any of the decks that generate artifacts, Prosper, my haste Dragon Boy that makes treasures, any of those things, this is just gonna be completely bonkers. I think this card would be worse if it was 1 mana less and also had deals to a target, right?
Oh yeah,
I
it'd be
think that's
infinitely
way
worse.
worse, right? But the fact that it's
Yep.
to each opponent every single time is so strong. And last thing I want to say in general before we move on is that I did post a poll to Twitch, and of the one vote we have, we are 100% sure that you are going to say yes to this deck.
Not sure about that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not
But
sure about it either.
so here's one question I have for you. Why wouldn't they just say whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, it deals 1 damage to each opponent versus the one? Like, do you think they were trying to like? Is there maybe something like damage triggers? Like each time they get damage, you get a trigger, and they were trying to eliminate that, where it's like you're only getting 1 damage trigger. Is that? I mean, are we at that kind of like 8-dimensional chess at this point? I just don't get why they had to
I don't.
overly complicate it, because I had to reread it a few times to be like, wait, well, how much damage is it dealing?
Right.
It didn't say to the number of artifacts or anything, but I know that's what it means.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe so that's only one ability that goes on the stack, so it's easier to like stifle, I guess. Maybe, but
Okay.
but like to your point, unless you're doing docks, like the only times where it matters is like dockside, blood money, where you're shooting out 20 at a time because you just happen to have the right. So I don't know. I also think it's strangely worded, but
Okay.
it must be that, like you said, it must be like the 4D chess that you have to think through about how to word these things as they go on the stack.
Fair. All right, Tuck. Give us your final yeast.
This is it.
Or did you? Okay.
This is it. This is my last one. So this is a background, which is these enchantment cycles that I think are all very strong, whether or not they are on the background mechanic or whatever that thing is, or in the 99. At least that's been my experience with them. And I think that Agent of the Iron Throne is going to be another way that we're going to be able to help close out this game for very similar reasons as to Ingenious Artillerist, almost on the opposite, though. So 2 colors and a black for legendary enchantment background. It's an uncommon for 18 cents, and it says commander creatures you own have, whenever an artifact or creature you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, each opponent loses a life. I feel like this is just dead on synergy with Jan, right? We're going to be creating, regardless if we're going infinite or not, we're going to be creating a bunch of treasures. We're going to be creating a bunch of 1/1s that are effectively going to be blockers as we continue to build our board. And just over time, I feel like this card is going to do 5 at a time, 10 at a time. Like, I think that this 1/3-drop is going to have so much value over the course of the game of just chipping away damage for 3 mana. And like we've talked about before, enchantment removal is now almost at the premiumist, right? that is
Sure.
the one that you have to have the most contingency plans for. So the fact that it is that background, the fact that it is that enchantment, to me means like this is going to stick, and it's going to stick around for a long time, dealing that chip damage in.
Yeah, it's a good card. I mean, it's essentially, I mean, is Blood Artist and cards like that playable? Yes, for
Yeah.
Conrad. Yes. So obviously it's gonna work amazing. So the fact that it does hit artifacts or creatures is great. What do you? I mean, I don't think we've ever talked about this. Backgrounds can only be applied to legendaries that say choose a background.
Correct.
What if they just made background like, hey, if it's a legendary creature, you can have a background attached to it? Do you think that just would have opened up Pandora's box and
Way
just
too,
been
yeah. I think it's way too good. And this is based off of the plays that I've had. So when we did the pre-release of Baldur's Gate, there were some where it's like if I could have had two in this, or if this one commander that I drafted also had choose a background, they'd be backbreaking. I think that's
okay?
I think this is another. It's the same argument we've had too, where it's like, well, they're only printing two color partners now, right?
Yeah.
I feel like this is the same sort of thing, right? If
Okay.
they'd printed two color commanders that also had choose a background, I think they would have been a lot more interesting. But now that they're so niche, I still think they're really good, especially in a deck that cares about its commander to the level that this does. But I think if it was just any commander, I think they're way too good, and it opens up way too many greasy wins and loops and stuff you can get into.
Like honestly, I think the easiest way to just get around that would be to make the backgrounds two or more colors. But then you can have it attached to anything. So it's like, okay, I have to pick a Golgari commander
Right.
if I want to run this background. So it's like you
Yeah, yeah,
can't
yeah.
break it with like a mono, or I couldn't just do the fringe like, ooh, my Brea deck, I could just take this mono black one. It's like crap. I can't use the Golgari
Yeah,
one because
right.
she doesn't have green. I think that could be like a very easy way to kind of get around it. But then I get it. That's a whole bag of worms. It's like, well, but now these colored commanders get it, and is it broken with them?
Right.
So,
Yeah. See
but
also
yeah, no, great
companion
card.
rules.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, my
What is your last one?
last one is a card that needs something else. I don't know if this is why you put it in here, but I really like it. Sculpting Steel. But I have a
Oh,
specific reason I want to talk about it. Three colorless artifact. You may have Sculpting Steel enter the battlefield as a copy of any artifact on the battlefield. I actually don't want to copy any of my artifacts. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have liquid metal coating and other cards turn things
oh,
into artifacts. And hey, would I like a second Revel in Riches? Sure, I'd like
right.
that. Would I like a second Hellkite Tyrant? Ingenious Artillerist? I mean, it's just the options are endless. Heck, do I want a second background?
Oh,
Okay,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like that's why I like Sculpting Steel. I think the very easy one on the face is like, oh, make another Alter the Brood, or make another Dragon
Yeah.
Spark Reactor. Cards like that, and I think that's cute and interesting. But I think it's way more powerful to let's make a copy of one of these non-artifact things.
Right.
Because that's what our deck wants to do. It wants to turn non-artifacts into artifacts and get the value. And man, I can't think of anything more valuable than taking a second Marionette Master.
Oh,
Woof.
yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. Like I was really trying to I wasn't trying to turn this into Alter the Brood tribal, but I kind of was because we're going to be making so much stuff. And granted,
Yeah.
there's only so much that you can do in here, but I agree. I think this card is kind of underplayed in my opinion, right? Like it's any artifact, right? So if you're playing a mirror match against another artifact person, you just get their Darksteel Forge or their whatever it is. And
Sure.
I don't know. I think for 3 mana, like this could just replace a mana rock potentially as well, right?
Yeah.
I think if this card was 4 mana, it wouldn't be quite as good. Maybe like kind of unplayable, but the fact it's on curve for most normal non-manalith sort of mana rocks and lets you choose anything on the battlefield, super strong inclusion in any artifact deck, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Well, guys, that's going to wrap up the East package. And now, before we head over to our final two sections, we do want to remind you guys about our amazing partner over at abyssproxyshop.com. If you use code CMD Tower, you will get 10% off your order. They have a massive website of playtests, proxies. If you even type the word custom into their search bar, you can see the massive online catalog of all the commissioned work that they've done for different people in the community. The cards vary between like $3 and $6. So with that 10% off, you can get it a little bit cheaper. They do even offer specials where, hey, if you spend more than 100 pre-discount, they'll give you a set of Aber duels. I mean, it's just great. They've been amazing partners. They're the ones that sponsored the giveaway for our Twitch stream on July 11th. So, abyssproxyshop.com, code CMD Tower. It would mean a ton. Now we're going to head over into a spicy meatball in the spice section. So, Big Tuck, what was your spice? I was shocked. I mean, it had some stuff in here. Some of them, I don't agree that they're spice. I think they're good for the deck, but I'll be curious.
There's a few that's
why.
So I want to talk about a land because
of course you do.
I have had this land. I have opened this land before, and I still cannot tell if it's good or not. And I don't think it. I don't know. I really don't know. But like I said, trying to find lands that say artifacts or are artifacts, you got what you brought in, right? So I think Glimmer Void can be good, situationally good. I don't know. So it's a rare land for about $3.66. At the beginning of the end step, if you control no artifacts, sacrifice Glimmer Void, then tap and add 1 mana of any color. So on the surface, it's an untapped land that comes in and gives you mana fixing across the board, right?
Yep.
How worried are you as someone who might be playing this deck that you might actually not have an artifact when you play this? And I think like this is a card, I don't know. I think like the best way you could get this card would be like turn 4, right?
Yeah.
But at that point, is the stipulation of having any mana of any color going to matter at that point when you've ramped out and got your mana fixing?
I mean, I'm literally looking up right now, like, is Mirror Landshaper worth it in this deck? 3 colorless, artifact creature mirror, 1/1, tap, target land becomes an artifact in addition to its other types. Because you could always turn Glimmer Void into an artifact, like, in response to its trigger. So that way it doesn't get sacrificed. So, I don't know. I mean, is Glimmer Void the card, or is it Treasure Vault?
I think Treasure Vault's a better card by a country mile.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think Treasure Vault is going to be better for you longer term. It's just, but it doesn't give you the mana fixing, right? And that's where I was really struggling on trying to find cards that reference artifacts that also give you mana fixing.
No, that's fair. Well, let's see. I mean, no, it's easy. You just take out Glimmer Void because you're a fool and put in Command Tower.
But it doesn't say artifact on it.
I don't. Crap.
I gotta play by the rules. I'm a rule man now.
Oh, man. All right. Well, I wanted to talk. I don't know why you have this in Spice. You've seen me do work with this card. Duretti and Genius Iconoclast? Come on.
I didn't like. It just didn't.
You have seen me do work.
Oh, it's great. No, it's great. I just like, I don't know. I don't know if it just didn't feel like it felt towards getting towards the end game to the way that I wanted to.
Well, yeah, it's not going to be an end game, but it's a hop card through and through. Colorless Rakdos, Planeswalker Duretti, Mythic. It's a 3 loyalty when it comes in. That's 3 activated abilities. I'm actually going to talk about the least impactful one, in my opinion, on the abilities. It's ultimates -6.
Yeah.
Choose target artifact card in a graveyard or artifact on the battlefield. Put 3 tokens that are copies of it onto the battlefield. I mean, I guess if I was able to Sculpting Steel a Hellkite, whatever, and then get 3 Hellkites, like, okay. Like, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
But I think that's a little too sweaty.
Yeah.
Man, guys, I word run this card, and it does the work. +1, put a 1/1 colorless construct artifact creature token with Defender onto the battlefield. -1, you may sacrifice an artifact. If you do, destroy target artifact creature. There's our removal.
Yeah.
We're going to have plenty of artifacts to sacrifice. It doesn't care if it's token, non-token, creature, non-creature. Doesn't matter. Just wants us to get rid of something. And how often I just +1, -1, +1, -1 over and over with
over and over again.
already.
Yeah.
And these are in non-artifact decks. So the fact that I might be able to just -1 3 times in a row, 3 turns in a row, and still feed my deck. Like we talked about it. Like, what if I don't have Jan Jenson out, but I need to go ahead and sacrifice the price statue?
Right.
How about
any of those are great targets for it. Yeah.
And destroy something. That just seems awesome.
I don't know. Like there was something about it when I was rereading it. I knew it was going to be in here. I couldn't. It just felt like it was too sweaty, maybe. But let me ask you this: do you feel like this card is worth the $18 price tag that is attached to it?
that's hard because things are just so expensive nowadays.
Yeah. And it's only
I
ever
would
been
like,
it's been reprinted one time. It's only been printed once ever,
yeah,
right?
and that was in Conspiracy, right?
Yeah, the second one. Conspiracy 2, or I don't know what's
So
called.
for the limited printings, it's CMC, and the fact that it does bring immediate impact to the board, I unfortunately say I get it why it's close to $20. But that's because you look up some cards nowadays, you're like, why is that 10? It doesn't make
Yeah,
it
right.
like Alter the Brood shouldn't be
No,
$11.
God no. But aren't you
I
glad
mean,
I
I
put it in the
like it.
deck?
I mean, yeah, I do. It's great.
See?
You have no reason not to. It's an artifact.
God, I hate
So,
it.
all right. Well, that's going to wrap up the spice section. And now we're going to head over to the bottle capping. And as a reminder, this is going to be my 3 cuts and 3 acid decks that are going to be under $5, under $50, and a no budget recommendation. We just won't talk about mana only lands.
Thank you. And then for everyone on Twitch, we're going to run a quick advert. So we'll be right back.
Bye.
Which I think is going. Okay. I'll be right back. Back in a minute. Yes. And we're back. Nailed it. Nailed it to the exact second when I got back when the ad ended.
Oh, see, it was still showing me the ad. Don't forget your video. It's still off on my side.
It is? Okay.
Yep.
Oh, it doesn't show me the ad. Bastards. But now this is where we get the real money.
Money, 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 money. Are you gonna go on Zencaster?
What? Oh, sorry.
Read the ad. Sorry, Twitch and YouTube. We have an old man over here hurting his back. He had to have me help him with his prepaid phone card for long.
I forgot that I have 2 videos running at once.
All right, hit and resume.
Hooray.
Okay, BigTuck. So I got some slashing I'm going to do to this deck. And you left out cards that it doesn't make any sense, especially with your logic on why you left these out. But
I can think of
let's
2 immediately that I intentionally left out.
For the under 5, I'm actually going to cut Nahiri.
Oh, sure.
So we have a Nahiri the Harbinger, 2 colorless Boros, legendary planeswalker Nahiri. It's a mythic. It comes in for 4 loyalty. +2, you may discard a card if you do draw a card. -2, exile target enchantment, tapped artifact, or tapped creature. So it does do the thing that I really like about planeswalkers. Like, I can always keep it loyalty neutral and always do a plus and minus, which I'm a big fan of. I figured the reason you probably included it was the -8. Search your library for an artifact or creature card, put it onto the battlefield, and shuffle your library.
Right.
It gains haste. Return it to your hand at the beginning of the next step. To be honest, I didn't see a single artifact in the deck where it's like, if I land this, I just win. I didn't see any of that, so I don't feel like it's worth it in there for the +2, -2.
It is a planeswalker that has the word artifact on it, so that's why it made the cut out the gates. I stuck to it. I'm a man of honor.
So dumb. All right. Here's what I'm shocked you didn't have in here. Giant Artificer from Commander 21. How did you leave out Oscar the Reconstructor?
Oh yeah, I thought about it, but I was like, I don't know.
What? It says artifact on the card. It does everything that the deck wants to do. It's so silly. So 2 colorless Boros, legendary creature, Giant Artificer. I could pick one up for 8 Oh, that's the display commander. 8 pennies for that, or
Oh yeah,
35 cents for just the normal one.
but the display commander one
Legendary
is the thick
creature.
one, which is the one you should get just to prove a point.
I mean, I think I have it,
Oh,
so
nice.
I could just use it to prove a point. It has vigilance, which is cool, I guess. But one colorless, sack an artifact. Target creature you control gets +2, +0 until end of turn. So if I need a way to sack other artifacts to get triggers, Oscar does it on the body.
Sure.
But here's why I'm surprised you didn't have it in the deck. We're sacking stuff left and right with Jan Jenson. So how about for X, tap, exile an artifact card with mana value X from the graveyard, create 2 tokens that are copies of the exiled card, activate only as a sorcery. Like, I think I'd like to sacrifice an artifact land with Jansen, create 2 constructs, then pay 0, tap, exile that artifact land, get 2 artifact lands onto the battlefield, and now I got additional sack fodder. I think that's extremely powerful. I just think Oscar, with what this deck wants to do with stacking artifacts, you have to have it in.
Yeah, it was on the list. I don't know. And it also does have artifact in the title of the card. It's a giant artifact. So,
Artificer, and it says artifact in its activated abilities, which is Nahiri. That's the logic you use for Nahiri.
No,
Said artifact
no.
in
It
the
all
card.
checks out. I don't know. Maybe I just have I have a bad taste in my mouth about playing against Oscar. I don't know. It just didn't taste right. It didn't have the right taste for me. It was a little too sour. But I will agree, it's a great inclusion. You got me on that.
All right. Well, about for under 50, we're cutting Hangerback Walker. Getting at it.
Yeah, that's fine.
It mainly because we didn't have any lines that just produce gobs of mana. So it's just
Yeah,
like, do I really want this card in for 3 counters on it? So Hangerback Walker is an XX, which means, guys, if I pay 2 mana into the spell total, I only get 1 X. Artifact creature construct, it's a 0/0, it's a rare. When it ETBs, it comes in with X+1/+1 counters on it. So basically, however much mana you put in, cut that in half. That's how many +1 counters it gets. When it dies, it gets a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying onto the battlefield for each +1 counter on Hangerback Walker. Then you can pay a colorless tap, put a +1/+1 on Hangerback Walker. Not a whole lot of +1 counter themes.
Nope.
The whole untap aspect, we do have those, but if we're untapping Jan Jensen. We're not untapping Hangerback Walker to add another counter to it. And like I said, I don't see any lines where, oh yeah, I think if I do this, I'll be able to produce 30 mana this turn, and then I could actually leverage Hangerback Walker to its full extent.
Right. No, I agree. That's why I put it in this. Like, you hit the nail on the head as why I put it into Spice, where it's like could be fun late game, could have some interaction into it. If we get the recursion going, then maybe. But I totally get it.
Mycosynth Gladys, what were you thinking?
It's too easy. I want to make you sweat a little bit in this deck. I want to be a little sweaty.
So dumb. Mycosynth Gladys, 6 colorless artifact, mythic. All permanents are artifacts in addition to their other types.
Are you putting in the other version, the other thing too, or no?
Darksteel? No.
No. The other one.
Oh, that makes everything artifacts? No.
No, the other one.
You keep saying another one.
The Planeswalker that goes infinite with this.
No.
Okay, cool. Because I had the Planeswalker in, and then I cut him, but I didn't put this back in.
Planeswalker?
Karn, the four.
Karn doesn't go infinite. It just locks.
It locks people
out
of the game. Yeah, I mean it's effectively infinite, in my opinion. It's the same level of nonsense.
No, I only get 3 cuts and adds, and there was just too many glaring holes I had to fill. So the other thing is all cards that are on the battlefield, spells, and permanents are colorless, and players may spend mana as though or mana of any color. So it's just like you have to have this in here, because the one thing that I did see that was stymieing the deck is losing out on actual artifact creatures to sacrifice to get the treasures. Tons of ways to sacrifice non-creature artifacts, but I just didn't see a lot of way to get artifact creatures. But I also like the fact that it makes our lands artifacts. So if we need to get rid of a land,
we can do that.
Start our train, we can do that. It just basically unlocked the entire deck. So that way we're not stressed about, oh, I have to go get one of the 2 ways I could turn something into an artifact.
Yeah, and I did that intentionally I'd rather be sacking non-creature artifacts and then sacking the constructs that come out of that. That's more like the line of play I was looking at for there, but you're not wrong. There's I thought about putting some higher end artifact creatures in here that might have that sort of ability, but I just wanted something different. And evidently, it was way too different for everyone else. So there you go.
All right. Well, now we're here for the no budget, and I'll give more thoughts behind it. I'm going to cut the Dragon Spark Reactor.
Sure.
Mainly because, and I hear you, and I get it. My idea, though, and this is something that some of the competitive crowd, they've had to try to, like, beat into me. What's the point when you go infinite of having this other fringe card? Like, if you're going infinite, you should just win the game. And when you oh yeah, when you do it, you're able to knock one player out. But I feel like that's not enough, because if I'm just creating infinite servos and treasures, I don't
Right.
need to just eliminate one player with this one card. I'm probably just winning the game on the spot. So I see this card only being good early game to maybe threaten commander removal or a little bit of damage to a player if they're not trying to, like, if they're getting a little low. But I don't see it as I'm Dania for 25. I don't see that realistically happening.
This is what my friends in Fort Collins drink would refer to as a win more card, right?
Hmm.
Like, you already have your ways to win the game. This is going to help you do it maybe more, but maybe not, right? This card either, like, is huge value or is a dead card in your hand.
Well, I'm just going to put a win more card that's just better in the deck. Dross Scorpion. Surprised you didn't have that.
Oh, the Scorpion? Yeah.
Yep. So 4 colorless artifact creature, common. It's a 3/1. Whenever Dross Scorpion or another artifact creature is put into a graveyard from play, you may untap target artifact. So kind of another version of our
Unwinding Clock, right? Or
Clock of Omens.
Clock of Omens, yes.
Yeah, it's kind of another version of our Clock of Omens, but we do need a creature artifact to hit the graveyard. So that's a little bit where the Mycosynthellatus will come in.
Sure.
So that way we can sacrifice some of those. I think if we had ways, I didn't do the research. I know a lot of it's in blue, but a lot of ways to turn our non-creature artifacts into creatures and just have that be like an effect. I think those would be very powerful in here as well. But all the research I did, it seemed like Dross Scorpion was really the engine that made it work.
Yeah, it's really strong. I just thought I didn't want to put too much into there. Like I said, want to make it a little sweaty for you, and evidently it was way too dripping. So what are you gonna do?
Well, what you're going to do is we're at the end of the episode, and we would love it if you guys would subscribe to our Twitch channel. Hey, now you can actually sub our Twitch channel. I don't think we have any of that set up, but we'll have to figure out what subs mean and what you guys get from it. But that'll now be an option. But you should also subscribe to us on YouTube, wherever you get your content from. Now, if you would like to find out more updates on us, see our social medias, here's how you can do that. You can get a hold of me at Mr. Commodore 5 on Twitter, all spelled out except for that 5. BigTuck, where can people get a hold of you?
You can find me at BigTuck tweeting on Twitter. This week I didn't post a whole lot because I was actually messaging some new content creators and trying to get them on the stream and orchestrate that. So my Twitter time was spent in the messages.
You can reach our primary account at CMD Tower on Twitter as well. We will have the deck list and article and videos posted. So if anyone wants to see it when everything goes live on July, what would that be? 23rd. Go to cmdtower.com/BNBE147. Basically, Clock of Omens, Mystic Forge, Deadly Dispute, Tower.com. Now, we would love to remind you of the different ways that you could support us through our Patreon, patreon.com/CMDTower. Etsy.com, CMD Tower in the search bar, or abyssproxyshop.com, code CMD Tower. All 3 ways are ways that you can help financially support our channel, cover a lot of our overhead, and so we can continue to grow, because if you guys don't support us, we cannot grow any bigger than we are. And of course, just share what you guys are looking and watching, because the more people we can get involved, the better. So Brews and Builds, say yes to the deck. Jan Jenson, Chaos Crafter. BigTuck, we'll go with you first. How do you feel about the discussion? How do you feel about the deck? And do you think I'm going to say yes?
I feel great. I feel great. No.
I see where you're going with the deck. So I'll say this. You gave me a very good skeleton that I am going to chop this boy up and make something different.
Which one's better, this one or the last one? It has to be this one, right?
This one's better because I mean you have like some like fun lines in there. You just like I said in the very beginning, you're trying to go way too out on a limb. Like I'm a 280-pound guy. I can't be out there on a twig. Twig's gonna break, and I'm gonna break my ass. And that's kind of what you're giving me here. It's just you're going way, way, way too deep. And you know you can have a fun, interactive, different deck, but still have staples in the deck.
I got you your staples. We got your Altar of the Broods. We got you your which is that
you
one?
You literally said you didn't include Mycosynthellatus and Oscar because it was just like, oh, I don't know.
Smothering Tithe. I got you that one. Fresh off a reprint. There's another one in here. I know already you like. I tried to put in the Mirage Mirror made the cut too.
Like that's a fine card. It's just once again you're trying to go way. You lost me when you said everything had to say artifact on it.
Yes, that's because I'm trying to make it fun.
That's not fun.
Yeah, you always talk about how you like the interesting, difficult deck building challenges, and I intentionally put myself into that exact same boat of a difficult, interesting build.
I hear you, but you just have to understand that
you're not a psychopath.
If I read through the deck for 45 minutes and I still don't know what the hell you're trying to do other than just generic value, that's not a fun deck. Nobody wants to sit there and just piddle for value for 2 hours.
Did you play test it on Moxfield?
Like once or twice. I don't like Moxfield. Moxfield sucks, so I refuse to do it.
No, that's our new sponsor.
Yeah, no, it's not. So that's a little bit of my feedback. So I will say this. I'm saying yes to the deck, but I'm going to cut about 30 cards from the deck and swap in 30 cards.
And swap in Gamble and Tutors and the other things that you actually want to play with.
Well, yeah, I need Tutors because I need to get to my things. I need multiple ways. Like, I'll probably cut Dockside Chef. That's just a lazy card that I'm not paying. It's a lazy card. I'm not going to waste 2 mana and sacrifice an artifact to draw a card. I'm using Jansen's ability to do that stuff. But the Deadly Disputes of the world, super smart. Really like that. The Big Scores of the world, super smart. Really like that. You had a lot of very good cards in here. I'm not saying the deck is trash. It's just you had so much value in here. There is nothing I'm actually getting to. It's just like, if I just get the value and I get to the thing, I guess I can produce a lot of stuff.
It's Snowpiercer, if you will.
Yeah, I guess.
It's just go. You know that you get that reference, right? You've seen that movie.
Yeah.
It
just goes into perpetual
It's just going
circle.
and going and going. Yeah.
Yeah, well, until Chris Evans decides to blow it off the track, kill all of humanity, and basically this little girl and a baby are going, or this little child are going out into the snow wilderness with, by the way, ending scene, a freaking polar bear. I guarantee that thing's like, oh, I'm hungry.
Yeah, it's food.
I'm about to eat you.
Well, I'm surprised. You impressed me yet again. I thought you would have watched that movie once and been like, yeah, it's great.
No, I love that movie.
I've
watched it 6 or 7 times. I just refuse to watch the TV show.
Oh no, that looks terrible. It's got Daveed Diggs in it. Come on, like the guy was on Broadway. Not interested as an actor.
So, anyways, I'm saying yes. I got to swap out about 30% of the cards, and I am including upgrading the mana base to just get out of here.
A City of Brass, perhaps a mana confluence, if you will.
Yeah. So I'm going to be including stuff like that. I'll probably need to get Lightning Greaves in here. I need ways to protect Jansen. Probably get Swiftfoot Boots in here. I need ways to protect Jansen. I probably need to get... I'll probably put a Blightsteel in, not for the winning, but just so I don't get milled out. I like having preventative mill features, but I do like keeping it on theme where it needs to be an artifact. Oh, I guess I could always do... Darksteel Colossus. I think he shuffles back in.
Yes, he does. Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Same thing as Blightsteel. Yeah.
Get away from the infect piece because I don't care about the infect. I just want ways to prevent milling. So yeah, I see what you did. I find Jansen interesting, and I do think the end game of how I can go infinite's also interesting and the different ways to win. I just think turns 3 through 12, I gotta make that a lot better. So
well, I'll take. Hey, listen. I'll take a yes, but or a yes and over a no any day of the week. So to me, great success. It was totally worth it.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning into the episode, and we'll catch you next week. And we stopped recording.
And we're getting ready to stop streaming. So thank you everyone for listening to us.
Thanks for tuning out, guys.
Poe Dameron, shout out. SD Sharpie, always glad to see you. I think I saw Lemonines watching, so we appreciate everyone, and we'll see you next Friday. Bye.